Hello and welcome to what is the first in a series of reviews and accounts that we're going to be running through What's on Stage. As you all hopefully know if you're tuning in, What's on Stage is the largest theatre platform in the UK, and we like to provide news, features, reviews, tickets and more for all your favourite theatre across the United Kingdom. What we're going to be doing here today is actually running through some of the biggest openings of the week. So we're talking about some of the most exciting new productions or returning productions that have been officially having their opening nights. So very exciting time. This week we've got two very hot new plays, two shows that have opened really in the space of 24 hours of each other, and they're very much vying for a critical adulation, I think is probably the best way to put it. They have been well received on all fronts, and we will actually be talking about some of the critical responses as well as our own thoughts on the show. And I might as well also introduce myself. My name is Alexander Wood. I am the managing editor at What's on Stage. You can follow me on all the social media platforms at Alex Luke Wood. And yes, I think it's best to just dive into two of the shows. So I'm going to start talking about the return of Jerusalem, Jez Butterworth's iconic award-winning play, starring the rather inimitable Mark Rylance, who most people know from his stage work, but he's also been on screen in the likes of Bridge of Spies, the BFG, or Wolf Hall on TV, but he has brought absolute magnanimity to some of his work on the stage. So it's very exciting to have him back. He's just finished up a run in Dr. Semmelweis, which is on at the Bristol Old Vic, and so now he's hopping back into the role of Johnny Rooster Byron, which won him a variety of awards when he first took it on when Jez Butterworth's play first appeared 12 years ago at the Royal Court. It now returns for another West End run at the Apollo Theatre, where it's played before, with a cast of returning figures including Mackenzie Crook, who many will know from playing Wurzel Gummidge or for playing one of the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. He is playing the role of Ginger here, and Ginger is Rooster Byron's possibly oldest and possibly best friend. So to delve into the plot, it follows a traveller who lives in a copse in a makeshift caravan where a group of individuals from the nearby town Flintlock come and visit him across the 24 hours of the country fair. It's all short, sort of takes place in a very short space of time. And during that time, revelations are made about all of these characters as well as Byron's history. And there's an element of mythos and magic to this copse and Byron's backstory that really taps into the ideas of, the mythology behind the English nation. And in many ways, this is a State of the Nation play, but in many other ways, it's something entirely different. And that's something I'm going to be touching on later. Obviously, what's interesting with this production is that this is a show that really has nothing to prove. It's been on, it's had sellout runs. Everyone knows that it is one of the greatest plays of the last century or so. It's topped many lists in terms of being one of the best ever written plays. So really, Butterworth and Rylance, it's a victory lap, the chance to reacquaint yourself with one of the best performances and one of the best productions of all time. Thanks, of course, also to director Ian Rickson, who has overseen some of the most impressive stage productions of the last decade or two. And also the designer Alt, who has managed to bring this live sort of copse to the stage, and you never feel for a single second that you're not inside this mythic cauldron that Byron has constructed for himself, which in many ways is haphazard and full of flotsam and paraphernalia, but at the same time gives off this sense of safety and tranquility. And that paradox is really something that sits through the show and through these characters. Byron is this daredevil who's said to have been born or conceived on the end of a bullet, is one of the tales told. But at the same time, he provides pastoral care for young people who are just trying to escape from domestic situations that are nothing short of horrible, not wanting to give too much away. So it's very interesting in that respect that Rylance can inhabit this role, someone who's aggressive yet tender, someone who is magical yet muddy and murky, all at the same time, and it really is a captivating performance, and one that, if you do get a chance to go and see it, you really have to. At the same time, what's really interesting about Jerusalem is it was a play that was speaking, 12 years ago to a very different Britain. It was speaking to the same sort of Britain that we were presenting at the Olympics opening ceremony, this grand vision of a nation that found an empire, found all the issues with an empire, and then, in a Commonwealth setting, tried to rediscover itself, through the invention of the internet, through the development of the welfare state. And these are all things that then I think Butterworth was playing with when he originally created Jerusalem. He was commenting on how the evolution of the mythology of England as an entity managed to develop. That's why we've got a big St. George's Day cross that greets us when we enter the auditorium. We know we are talking about England. There are giants, there are spirits, there are ancestors watching, there are things buried beneath the ground ready to rise up. Everything that could be described as England is placed within the context of this play. And in many ways, what's most striking is that in the last decade, I think that conversation has moved on so radically that Jerusalem now feels as though it sits in a very different context. And in many ways, what's very striking is that it still functions incredibly well. We're sitting in a time where there is a government that is coming up with new protest bills or trying to clamp down on the rights of travellers across the United Kingdom. And just, on a very basic level, that's the sort of thing that could be seen as contemporary and relevant to what's going on here. But I think there's something more interesting around, there is this constant struggle in a battle for who owns the mythology of Britain. Is it owned by those at the top? Is it owned by those wanting to redevelop land or to get rid of, safe spaces? Or is it owned by the individuals themselves that are within these communities? Is it owned by Byron? Is he what defines England, or is England defined by those who wish to oppress him? So I think that you could spend hours dissecting both what Jerusalem meant and what Jerusalem now means. Ultimately, though, it's just a masterclass performance, and I think everyone's noticed the critics have been giving it, 5-star raves across the board. That feels very much like it's justified. So let's hop down the road now to the Harold Pinter Theatre for the UK premiere of Susie Miller's Prima Facie, starring none other than Killing Eve breakout star Jodie Comer. I just have to start by saying that Comer's performance in this show is utterly incredible. She's making her West End debut at a time when she has never held the attention of this many people live in a space before, but she does it in probably one of the most effortless turns I've seen in quite a while. For someone who cut their teeth in the television world, for her to have such physicality, at times almost bordering on a clowning, especially in the first sort of 10 minutes of the show. She bounds across the stage. She's sort of at times almost like she's creeping towards you, as if she's trying to make you complicit in something that she's achieving. It's almost like a game, and she's prowling, but by the end, she's this haunted, staunch figure who restricts all of her movements in a way that is so radically different from the start of this 100-minute monologue that you feel as though you've been on this incredible journey with this person. Many critics have talked about the play itself, which concerns a barrister who goes through an experience that means that she has to redefine all of her values and rethink the experiences she goes through. Many critics have described it as slightly polemic. They've said that actually some of the text feels as though it's almost overly didactic rather than heavy on characterization. And I think that there might be justifications for that argument. At the same time, this is a topic, really, the judicial treatment of those experiencing sexual assault, that I think we've gone past a point where didacticism on stage is a problem. I think we need to be shouting from the rooftops about this issue. Some critics have said that it's a show where Miller's writing does enough through the subtext that when eventually Comer comes to a point where she gives this blistering speech towards the end of the show, which is very much direct address about these issues, how that feels like it's a step too far. It feels unnecessary within the context of the play. I think that they've had to go that extra mile to make that point shows just how urgent and pressing this issue really is. You have to resort to polemic because anything short of explicit statement is not enough anymore. When, we look at some of the statistics around the treatment of sexual violence and the way in which it relates to the judicial system, it's pretty obvious that staunch words and clear action is required. Whether or not the play actually, tells us exactly what that action needs to be, maybe more work could be done there. But I think at the end of the day, what you've got is one of our most impressive talents giving us an incredible and unforgettable stage performance. And what comes with that is a lasting conversation around something that really needs to be dealt with in our criminal justice system. Anyway, I think that's everything I've got for you this bank holiday weekend. Next week, I'm hoping to talk about the Sondheim concert, which is at the Sondheim Theatre, featuring some of the most incredible performers of all time. We've got Judi Dench, we've got Imelda Staunton, we've got Hannah Waddingham, we've got Bernadette Peters. So please tune in for that next weekend. And at the same time, I'll also hopefully be able to talk to you about the new production Oklahoma, which is at the Young Vic, which is coming over from Broadway, and I'm very intrigued because I've heard a lot about it but not yet seen it. So thank you very much. Please like and subscribe so you can make sure that as soon as that review is up next week, you can hear it here first. Thank you so much.